Hi, this is Jessica with Dining Traveler, and welcome to the Dining Traveler cooking series where we try recipes from our favorite destinations at home. And of course, I'm going to my favorite destination, Puerto Rico, and I'm gonna make one of my favorite recipes of my two favorite things, empanadillas and pastelón, making empanadillas de pastelón. So we're gonna take a virtual trip to Puerto Rico, so let's get started. We're gonna get started with making the picadillo. First, we're gonna heat up some oil, cook the onions, and then add the meat. I cooked the onion for around 3 minutes until it's nice and soft. Now I'm gonna add the ground pork. Some people use ground beef. I love ground pork. You use whatever you want. Now it's been cooking for around 3 to 4 minutes and the fat is starting to loosen up and the bottom is pretty much cooked, so now I'm gonna add the seasoning. So we're gonna add a teaspoon of adobo, a teaspoon of sazon, and my adobo doesn't have peppers, so I just add my own fresh ground pepper. So now I added the seasoning, so I'm gonna mix it up. You see how the bottom is nice and done. So with the spatula, make sure that you start breaking down the beef. You're gonna notice that fat is gonna loosen up. You're gonna get a little bit of liquid. So at this point, I wanna add the sofrito and the tomato sauce. Just make sure everything is evenly distributed. Mine smells delicious. And again, with the spatula, you wanna make sure that the meat is like in the tiniest pieces possible because it's gonna fit better into the empanadilla disc. The meat is finally cooked, so we take it off the heat, let it cool down a little bit. And depending on the meat that you use, for example, mine is lean pork, so it didn't release a lot of liquid, so it's fine. But if you find that your meat has a lot of liquid, make sure that you strain it so you don't get all that water into your empanadilla. So pastelón, for those who are not familiar, the greatest food ever. Just kidding. Well, yes, I'm not kidding, but it is the best food ever. It's ripe plantain, amarillos, layered with meat and cheese and then put in the oven. So it's almost, they call it a plantain lasagna. So what I'm doing is I'm incorporating those flavors into the empanadilla, into the empanada. And we're gonna use cheese, we're gonna use maduros, which are ripe plantains. Honestly, I buy them pre-made and put them in the microwave. My sister-in-law, who is my Puerto Rican food idol, does it, so it means that it's okay. The disc, again, pre-made, because this is for the week. You wanna treat yourself for the week or maybe prepare for your kids. You can even freeze it and save it for later. And the picadillo. And if you have somebody that is vegetarian, perfect. You just put the plátanos and the cheese and boom, you have a vegetarian quasi pastelón empanadilla. So what I like to do is already buy a block of cheese. I used to do it with shredded cheese, but I found that it was too messy, and when I was trying to bind the empanada, like little pieces escaped, and I found that thin slices of cheese work so much better. So you don't want it too thick because then the whole thing won't melt, but we're just gonna add like 2 or 3 to each empanadilla. Same thing with the plátanos. You want to get some thin slices so it doesn't bulk the empanada and it opens up while you're frying it. We're gonna use slices, I would say like around 1/2 inch thick. So now we're gonna assemble the empanadillas. So we're gonna start with some meat, and I hate to open an empanadilla and there's no meat, so please be generous with your meat. Not too generous because then you don't want your empanadilla to open, but just put enough out there. This is like around 2 tablespoons of picadillo. Then we are gonna add some plátanos. So I like to add 2 or 3 depending on the size, and 2 slices of cheese. And then we flip it over. Just be careful you don't get stuff. Little pieces of meat that try to escape, bring them back in. And then we are gonna press firmly on the edges. And for that extra protection, we are gonna use a fork to seal it. And now we're gonna fry the empanadilla. Make sure that your oil is very hot, at least 350 degrees. We're gonna let them fry for around 3 minutes until they're nice and golden, and then we're gonna flip them over for the other side to cook. Make sure you're paying attention because these things will turn on you very quick. And this is how we make empanadillas de pastelón at Casa Dining Traveler. And I know that everybody has their unique way of making it, and I would love to hear yours and even calling it. For example, I call it empanadillas, some people call it pastelillos. I've heard empanadas. So the common denominator, whatever you call it, it is delicious and it's super easy to make at home. And please, if you have any questions, feedback, share it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for tuning in. And now to the fun part, to taste some. Adiós.